All right, this week we are wrapping up Spooky Month with a bona fide horror classic, and that is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, a film that stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Scatman Crothers, and Danny Lloyd. This film is, it's impossible to discuss everything about this film. I'll start with that. But a film that has kind of defined the psychological horror genre, explores the inherent evil in man, the duality of that. A lot of examines the psyche of man and what isolation can do to people and things of that nature, Zach. I know we will not cover every detail of this film, but we're going to do our best, aren't we?
We're going to do our darndest. But I have a question for you. I have two questions, but we're gonna focus on one. Yeah.
Two questions?
The important question, the first and foremost question, but is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining good?
Wow. It's a very specific question, and we shall discuss it. Now, what's the second question?
Who's got the best drip in this movie?
That's a tough one. Let's find out both of those things, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But is it good podcast? Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Okay, hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
I am your host.
Your host.
Zach
Sorry.
Olson.
Hunter Callahan.
And this
Is the But Is It
good
Oddcast.
Nice catch.
Thank you. I used two hands. I used two hands to catch that one. Zach, how are you? How's life?
I'm
been
okay.
so long since I've seen you.
I know, it's been a while.
We haven't talked in so long. It's been like 15 hours. Actually, no, it hasn't.
Less than that
Because
I've been.
You texted me all day today when you were watching the movie.
Yeah. I've been texting you pretty much steady throughout the day. I'm okay. I feel like I'm gonna throw up, so
Let's
I'm
see if you
drinking on mint tea to try and like settle my stomach. I don't know what's going on because I've been feeling weird the past
What are you gonna drink for whiskey shots? Whiskey?
Mint tea. I am. So it's whiskey shots and calming beverages this week because I need something to calm my gut.
Your gut?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
no, not my gut. My gut. Say it.
I don't want to say that. Gut.
There you go. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Okay. Well, good, Zach. I'm glad life is wonderful for you.
That's not what I said. How are you? Just told you that I feel like I'm going to throw up. And you're like, well, good. Yay. How are you, Hunter?
I wasn't listening. I'm sorry you're sick. Hopefully you don't throw up. It'd be funny if you did, though.
I got my trash can.
If you do,
ready.
do you promise to keep rolling?
Yeah.
All right, sick. Perfect.
I got my trash can ready, but I just realized it's full of holes. Maybe if it's thick enough, it won't matter. Like, if it, like if it's like a thick chili.
That's gross. Oh, God. That's nasty. I'm good. I'm well. I'm tired. I'm quite tired today, actually. Stayed up far too late last night. I had early morning.
Like 9:30?
I stayed up till 12:40. Because I was watching football. It was a good reason. My team won.
Tech won?
Yeah, Tech beat North Carolina.
Oh, cool.
Brent Key's 4-0 against ranked ACC opponents. Isn't that crazy? But he sucks against everybody else.
And defeated against everybody else.
Yeah, he
right?
lost to Bowling Green, but he beat Miami and North Carolina. Anyway, but I'm good. We're good. Bama's good. Getting ready to go to New York in a couple weeks, so that's exciting. But yeah, we got a big one in today. We both had a look. We both had a look on our eyes where we were like, we know. exactly what to say after this.
It's going to be good once we start posting these to YouTube so you can see our looks.
Yeah. Maybe I'll post this one.
beloved fans.
Maybe I'll just save this one. I saved them all, so I guess I can go back and edit them.
Don't save this one. I need to get a ring light because I look like a ghost. Like I look like I did what Violet did in Willy Wonka, and I turned violet, and I'm like coming down from being violet, but also
part of you still Violet.
Mm-hmm. And then the other part is just like pure white. I'm not talking like I'm white, but I mean like
the actual
white.
color white, like my T-shirt that I'm wearing right now, white.
Mm-hmm.
In the industry, that's called blown out.
Well,
when you see these videos, it's just us making red faces for an hour and a half.
I've been blown out today.
All right, focus in. Focus, here we go.
Hold on. If I turn around and take off my shirt, maybe my back will be blown out. That one really got you.
I'm crying. Oh, man. That's just how you said it. It was just how you said it. That I was like, what is he talking about? And then all of a sudden, oh, gosh.
You have to use that at work somehow this week. Like, be like, cut, hold on, your back's blown out. And just see what the person says.
Oh, gosh. You know, I was driving to work the other day, and I was driving, and I thought, oh, that looks like goldenrod. I was like, oh, that's probably what goldenrod is.
It probably was goldenrod.
Oh, gosh.
That's a real thing.
I apologize for like the minute and a half long silence, but I was crying.
He was laughing pretty hard. He was crying.
It was just
cried.
It was just your delivery of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, here we go. The Shining. Let's do it. Ready? Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. You know that we currently are a 5-star podcast on all platforms. Isn't that awesome?
5 stars.
Isn't that awesome? They love us. Zach, you can go first because you watched this film today. I assume this was not your first time watching it. But what are your first thoughts? We'll stay spoiler free, even though this movie's like 43 years old. But you know, what are your first thoughts?
It's more than 43 years old, isn't it?
Came out in May of 1980.
Well, then it's 43 years old in like 3 or 4 months. You idiot. No, you're absolutely right. It's 43 years old. Okay, first impressions. Let's see. What did I do that time?
It sounded like you purred for a second. You're purring when you said...
let's see.
All right, I promise we're going to talk about a movie. Let's do it.
So, I've seen this multiple times. It never ceases to amaze me, like in its totality. So, honestly, I haven't seen many Stanley Kubrick films. But
so you're a fraud.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Just kidding.
I mean, I don't think that means I'm a fraud. It just means that
I haven't even seen A Space Odyssey, so yeah.
I haven't either. When we went and saw The Dark Knight with Ethan on 35 mil, there was a preview for Space Odyssey because they're showing it on I think 35 mil there, and like it's like a big fucking deal. And Ethan was like, "Y'all need to go see that," and I was like, "I don't even know what that is," and he was like, "It's a Space Odyssey. What are you talking about?" We were whispering.
We were judged. I'm just kidding.
Well, you weren't judged because you weren't talking to him. You didn't say anything.
But I've never seen it. Doesn't matter. Continue. You haven't seen many of his films.
But I do know that he at least has like a cult following of film critics who think he is this genius that there's nothing unintentional in his films, even things that look like they're out of place, like they're plot holes. Like some of the things that I was texting you today that we'll get into as we talk about this movie are like deeply intentional. Everything that he does has intent behind it. And it's just amazing. Like the deeper you dive into at least like the theories. I mean, I don't know, because like I said, I haven't seen many of his films, and I haven't I don't know. But it feels like, it feels like Swifties. You know how like everything, like the numbers and what she's wearing. She wore blue, then she wore black, then she wore blue, then she wore black. Oh shit, blue, black. That means something, you know.
I saw one today. Sorry, but I literally saw a post on Instagram where it was like a picture of her wearing a black dress and a tan overcoat on October 27th, 2014, and then a picture of her on October 27th, 2023, wearing a black dress and a tan overcoat. And they're like, "What does it mean?" And I was like, "Nothing."
What does it mean? It could mean anything. Didn't it mean that 1989 had come out because Taylor's version came out on the 27th?
There was something. There was actually something that like people picked up on something that was like, "Oh, this means 1989 is gonna be next," and they were right. So I don't.
But you just said 2023. You mean like 2 days ago she was wearing this?
Yeah.
Because it came out 2 days ago. Like it came out on the 27th. I guess is what I'm saying. Anyways, we're talking about
I didn't
The
realize
Shining.
that. Yeah, go on.
It's the next one. No shit, Swifties. No shit. But anyways, like people will dive into Kubrick's films with that level of, I'm not saying, because like sometimes the Swifties can get, it's like, okay, like no.
Yeah.
But like the amount of detail that goes into it, and it's just fascinating. So I watched the movie. The movie's amazing, like on face value, like at the most surface level. You don't need to like do a deep analysis to enjoy this film. I don't think personally. But then I spent like the greater half of my day just like going down rabbit holes of theories of like deep analysis. And it's fascinating. I'm so excited to talk about it. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I think, I can't say with 100% certainty, but I can say with like 85% certainty that this is actually the first time that I've sat down and watched the entire thing in one sitting, believe it or not.
Really?
I've seen so much of it so many times that I knew that I kind of knew it back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
When you say you sat down and watched it in one sitting, do you mean like you sat down, pressed play, and never hit pause? Or do you mean like you paused because you had to take Hollis to poop?
No,
and then you pressed
I don't
play?
take him to poop. He just poops.
You don't
where
take
he
him in the
is.
backyard to poop?
No, he poops in his pants.
Oh, okay.
And then I change his diaper.
That's so weird because when Athena has to poop, I take her outside. So I just thought it was
It doesn't.
I thought it was.
It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but it's close. No, I think I had like seen parts of the movie, just not cohesively. If that makes sense. Like I felt like I'd seen all of it, but I've never sat down and like really like watched it. I even like months ago. I'll mention this later, but I watched like a 40-minute breakdown of The Shining, and that was like before we did this episode. So like I know the movie. But it's incredible, man. Like it didn't like, it's not one of those movies that like, it's the kind of horror movies that I like, because it's not like it's gonna be like, oh boo, here's a scary thing. It just like messes with you. What's so funny?
I don't know, the way you said boo.
It just like, this movie just makes you feel super just uneasy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Nicholson is the whole cast is so good, but like watching him he's just on his A game. And there's so, like you were saying, there's so many details that we will not cover all of them in this podcast, but
there's absolutely no way.
Like,
we could. Now in the intro you said there's no way, it would be impossible. It's not impossible. It would just be like a 6-part series.
Which we could do one day. Maybe that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But like, I think I said this to you earlier, to your point, I watched a 40-minute video about this film. They broke down like everything. And then I watched a 15-minute video about this video, and they talked about completely different stuff. Like nothing overlapped, and it still was like super in depth. And so, it's just crazy, man. Like everything about this movie is so intentional. Like the score, the music's phenomenal, the framing, the direction, the set, the design choices. It's nuts. I think it's really, really. I think it's something. It's something to behold for sure.
It certainly is. Well, I am just giddy to talk about this film, but before we do so, we do need to do two things, right? First of all, we need to tell people who haven't seen this film that spoilers lie ahead.
They do.
Either buckle up and just listen to us without seeing the movie, or pause, go watch this film. It's available on multiple streaming platforms that you're probably already subscribed to.
Is it really? Because I had to rent it. What'd you watch it on?
I watched it on Max.
I looked for it on Max. I couldn't find it.
It's on Max. I think it's on Amazon Prime if you have that. Like I think it's on Hulu. Like it's in multiple places you can watch this film.
I spent $4 on it, but oh well.
Worth every penny.
It was very, very good.
If you want to rent it, but it is available on Max. I can confirm that. As of the release of this episode on October 30th, 2023. So if you're listening to this in like 3 years, the leasing, have they have like contracts, and so like
hey Zach, Zach, reel it in. You look so mad. I'm so sorry. I'm throwing you back out because I was drilling you in. I'm gonna throw you back out. Okay, and look, I'm cutting the line. I cut the line so you're free.
Didn't have enough water. I'm fucking dead.
Can you explain movie in a minute for our
He has
listeners?
a minute to talk about the movie. Reeling it in.
Oh no. What have I done? I can't tell if you're actually mad. Are you actually mad at me? He is.
I've only actually been mad at you like twice.
What was the second time? What was the second time? I know what the first time was.
What was the first time?
I thought it was when your ex-girlfriend said something to me and pissed me off.
Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah. The second time, the second time. You know the second time.
Was it when I didn't tell you where I was when we were recording?
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
when you were like, all right, I'm here. And I was like, I'm not at that house. I'm at my parents' house.
Oh, I was frustrated, but I wasn't mad. No, I've only been like legitimately mad twice. The second time was when, and then we will talk about the movie because I'm very excited to talk about the movie. The second time was when I spent like 3 weeks trying to coordinate with you to buy World Series tickets.
Yeah.
And
I won some.
You won some?
Well,
so actually, I didn't get tickets because I was waiting for you.
It was like me and Hannah won them, but yeah.
And then you got to go after dragging your feet, and I didn't get to go because you drug your feet. And I was like legitimately mad at you for like a week.
Yeah. I knew you were going to be mad when that happened. It just goes to show that if you drag your feet, then good things happen.
And then, audience, listeners, when we tried to talk about it on the podcast, he's obviously texting or looking at like a baby monitor or something. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
I'm getting the timer up.
I'm about to lose it.
All right, movie in a minute. Here we go. This is The Shining. The Shining. It's a Steve Martin reference. It's a Steve Martin reference. You don't get it.
Oh.
You're not cool. Here we go. Ready?
What's it from?
It's from one of his own comedy albums that my mom has. And he's talking about putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
It was Steve Martin did that?
And he says, timing. He's a funny guy. I'm going to do the movie in a minute now because we're going on too long. You ready? What is going on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
You keep shutting me down, so I'm just shutting up.
I'm
letting you
not trying
talk.
to shut you. I'm not trying to shut you down. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut half of this out, just so you know.
You made a joke, and then I tried to say hey, what was that joke? Haha, that's so funny. And you're like, shut up. We got to do a movie in a minute. We got to talk about this fucking movie right now.
I'm just going to regain my composure. That's a long sip. What are you doing? You should have done that in the intro. Just the entire time.
Next week.
That's funny. All right, here we go.
Next week it'll be double funny because it's my week.
Please. That'd be so funny. That'd be hilarious. And I'll just be like, I'm just straight faced, nothing. All right, here we go. Okay, this is a movie in a minute. The Shining. In 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so Jack Torrance he's got a job at a hotel to be the caretaker for 5 months because it closes because he can't get to it because of the ice. So he's like, yeah, that's fine, ice, I want to be alone. He's a writer. He's struggling. He brings his family. He has a wife and a son. They get there, and the person in the hotel's like, hey, by the way, this guy murdered his family here. It's kind of creepy, but whatever. He's like, that's cool. So they're doing, they're living there for like a few months, and Jack can't write. He's getting frustrated. They're totally alone and cut off from the world. So weird things start happening. He starts seeing some ghosts. Danny gets choked out in room 237, and Jack kind of snaps. He starts going more and more crazy. So he's talking to ghosts and stuff. Finally, he loses it. He grabs an axe. He's gonna come kill his family, but the dude who can have the Shining comes. He kills him. So he busts down the door. He's like, "Here's Johnny." He goes into the maze with his son, and then he gets frozen to death.
Yep.
Went a little off the rails there at the end. Sorry.
No, that was good.
Perfect. Let's do it. All right, cool. The Shining. So right away we get the crazy. I'm not gonna say it's not a drone shot because it was like the 70s when it was filmed, but the aerial shot, of the mountains.
Mm-hmm. What they do, like a helicopter? Like how did they get that?
Yeah, probably like a helicopter or some sort of plane. But like the music, that's what I always remember from that opening is the music is just super. Yeah, just super just dissonant, very edgy. Mm-hmm. Edgy in the sense of it makes you feel on edge, not like it's edgy like rock or anything. But to me, what's funny to me is even that this movie's strange to me because just stylistically, it's sort of unlike anything else. You know what I mean?
What?
I'm trying to explain it. I don't know how to explain this in a way that makes sense, but if you see a clip of The Shining, right?
Mm-hmm.
And try and see where I'm going with this because it's kind of like a modern perception of it. If you see a clip of The Shining, the thing you've seen a million times, the Here's Johnny, all that kind of stuff, and then you play that intro without context, you tell somebody, hey, here's this other clip. I feel like you wouldn't think that's the intro to The Shining. Even that music is but for some reason when you put it together, it's this perfectly cohesive. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It's hard for me to have a frame of reference because I've known The Shining as far back as I can remember. So it's hard for me to,
But it works. It makes you. It's a really unsettling first little sequence there.
Right.
But it's beautiful. It's beautiful scenery. But then we meet Jack, who I think you texted me. I got to go back through my stream of consciousness messages from you. And he said something where it's when he even gets to the hotel the first time, you're like, this dude is not okay.
No, it wasn't when he got to the hotel the first time. When he went to interview, he's a little what? What?
You sent me so many messages that I don't always get to read them all.
You didn't read them?
And I just read what you said under this one.
Oh, goodness. That one will stay between us. It's when he's coming back with his family and they're in the car. And, he already looks like he's fed up with them. From the first, they're, maybe an hour into their 3.5 hour drive. and he seems to be fed up with them.
Well, it's like all he ever really shows is like just impatience and like a general annoyance of their existence. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It makes me question, in terms of just like basic plot, why he even brought them.
Yeah.
You know, like why not just let them stay at home?
Perhaps because it was so long.
Danny didn't even want to go, or I mean, Toby. What was his name? His little finger friend.
Toby. I think it's Tony. It's Tony. It's Tony. Well, it's funny because like, maybe it's just because of the duration of how long he would have been gone. That's why he was like, I guess you guys got to come with me. But yeah, he's not exactly the nicest. Well, maybe not nicest. Well, yes, nicest, but like the most charming and endearing person.
Mm-mm.
And like even in that like interview, everything kind of feels phoned in. Like all of his smiles feel kind of like backhanded or forced. You know what I mean? He's just kind of doing it to kind of get through the interview. But we do find out early on before they move that he has in fact hurt Danny. Once he dislocated his shoulder in a drunken rage. So we see that he has like a violent streak.
Well, the way it's painted by Wendy is that it's just one of those things, you know. It's the same thing you do 100 times to a child, but he'd been drinking and he pulled a little too hard.
Yeah, it's not the kind of thing you do 100 times to a child, especially when you're drunk. But it's sad because like that's the whole dynamic between them is super interesting because he and Danny obviously don't seem close, and he doesn't. I don't think he says a single good thing to Wendy, except he says one. He says one line that's if you read just the script, it seems really sweet, but in context, it's terrifying.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
Light of my life.
Light of my life.
But she is ever supportive, ever defending of him, and always, I guess, trying to be like, oh, you know, like, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. You're great. You're, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it does paint an interesting dynamic between them. You know, because at the core of this movie is really, it's, you know, Jack and kind of his descent, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is random, but I just thought about it. This is not in order, but you mentioned a lot of references to fairy tales. I think you mentioned that. Did you mention that to me? And I'm not sure that just popped in my head, but it just popped in my head. So what did you mean? Because that was mentioned in one of the videos that I watched. And how Jack is kind of this. Someone said it was like the Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf, but we watch it from the wolf's perspective. Like he's.
Well, I mean, that's literally mentioned.
But, well, yes, that is true.
He literally says like, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," right?
Yeah.
But I mean, there are a lot of fairy tale references. Do you want me to go through them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Or just like cartoons and fairy tales. So, near the beginning, when the doctor comes to talk to Danny and like try and figure, because Danny, my only assumption is that it looked like he had a seizure or something, or he passed out, right? So the doctor comes and checks on him. In the background of that scene, you see Goofy, like on the wall, and Goofy's wearing yellow shoes, jeans, and like a red like sweater top. Shelley Duvall is literally wearing yellow shoes, like a red sweater top with like a blue like blouse over it. Here, let me see if I can send you these pictures.
I was about to say, I want to see this.
Can I send this to you in here?
Yeah.
No.
Can you just text it to me?
No, I can't because I don't have a MacBook. Click this link.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. Copy.
Do you see these pictures?
I'm pulling them up right now.
Do you see?
Wow. I do see.
So that's a reference. I'm not really sure. It could either be. I think it's just like trying to allude to like it's setting the stage for these like cartoon and fairy tale references. So in the beginning of the film, we hear Roadrunner in the background, and Meep Meep, and there's Wile E. Coyote, who looks like a big bad wolf, which is what Jack Torrance is alluded to be, like the big bad wolf, right? He's like this hairy, and I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down or whatever. And he literally, Danny literally runs away from him into the maze. And, Roadrunner's whole thing is that he, tricks the coyote and wins, and then the coyote meets, an untimely death, right? Or, gets crushed by an anvil or something. And so he literally, runs into the maze at the end of the movie. Sorry, spoiler alert for the end. Circles back, on his own footsteps, so he outsmarts the coyote, and then the coyote meets an untimely end. We can talk about room 237 and how it seems like it's a metaphor for Hansel and Gretel. So first of all, Hansel and Gretel is mentioned by Wendy, or it's alluded to by Wendy, because she says you could get lost in here unless you leave a trail of breadcrumbs, right? And Hansel and Gretel and the witch or whatever, her whole thing is that she entices these kids in with food, and then turns into a witch, right? Yeah. Just like in room 237, this naked woman entices Jack in, and then when he is engrossed in what he's doing, turns into this gross, nasty old witch thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of there's a lot of references. I mean, Kubrick's thing is that in interviews and when talking about the film, he's never gonna say this is what this means.
Yeah.
But so again, it's the Swiftie thing where people are just picking up on it and crafting theories, right? But it is unmistakable how many references there are, I think. So I just thought it really interesting. What were you gonna? You look like you wanted to talk with your face.
Well, it's funny because now I'm going down this rabbit hole of what the of the site that you sent me, and it's crazy. There's just so much. It's one of the things that I didn't realize, and this is just things like I said I hadn't really sat down and watched the movie, but it's crazy how all of these things they're so subliminal that they just sort of impact you without you even knowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you heard of something called Mickey Mousing?
No, I have no idea what that is. What's Mickey Mousing?
Hopefully I got the term right, but it's something that I saw in a video that was about audio. It's like a way to score a piece, like a visual piece, and it comes from the old Mickey Mouse cartoons where they were silent, so all they had was music, and every single movement was accentuated with a sound, like a piece of music. Mm-hmm. If they shook something, the music would be a really crazy. You know what I'm saying? If they swayed, it would be fluid. If they were jagged, that kind of stuff. And I watched this whole breakdown on how after the edit was locked, they didn't do this on set, wasn't planned. The guy who did the music, I need to think of his name. What's his name? Music by, it says Wendy Carlos and Rachel L. Klein. That's not the names that I saw that was given in this. Somebody else. It doesn't matter. They found music that fit every little movement. And there's even scenes where there's a scene, it's just the scene where Jack and Danny are sitting on the bed and he's talking to him. Danny's got a Mickey Mouse shirt on, and it's crazy that how the music is they'll ask a question, the music inflects up, and he'll answer, and then it'll come down, or they'll turn. When he gets out to go to room 237, every step he takes and movement is accented with a little piece of music, and it was a pre-recorded piece of music. It wasn't made for the film. That's a long shot, but made me think of it with Goofy and stuff, and it wouldn't be surprising if that was on purpose. His shirt You know what I'm saying? Like all those kind of things. I just think it's fascinating.
Yep.
But what I was going to say is one of the things that I saw in like one of the breakdowns before I watched the movie, like for real, and then when I was watching it, I was like, oh shit, this is so right, and it's super weird. Is that the hotel is impossible?
Yeah.
Like it's so impossible.
Like deeply impossible. It's not just one or two things, right? So you have Ullman. He's the like hotel manager, right?
Yeah.
His office has a window that looks like it's pointing outside, but it's like in the center of the building. And like if you walk around, because you see them walk around multiple times, you know, Wendy's running at one point. They're walking just to do the tour, and on the other side is just a hallway, so there's no window there. Can I go through a list again?
Yeah, please.
Do you mind?
Because I've got this list in front of me, and I think it's just fascinating.
So they walk through the Colorado Lounge, right? And they're walking through, and then they come to like a hallway that's underneath the stairs where Wendy's got the bat, and she's like, "No, get away!" You know. And when they're in that hallway, in the back of that hallway, these two girls, which I want to talk about, these two girls come through with this luggage. But the layout of the room, they would have just like been coming from outside, which wouldn't have made sense because we would have seen them walking, and why would they take the luggage outside and then back in? So it's just, but all this to say, there's more. Like their bedroom is looks like there's windows on like three sides, but when Danny comes out the window at the end, you can see that it's on a wall, so there couldn't have been windows on three sides. All kinds of stuff, man. Like Danny, when he's on his little tricycle going through, at one point he drives past room 237 and it's on the left. He takes a couple corners and drives past through room 237. You think he does like a loop, but it's on the right, like it's on the other side. Like just really interesting stuff. The maze changes in the film, and it's actually like there have been interviews and people talked about how they're not sure if Kubrick was just like fucking with people or like as a joke, or if he was doing it to literally create like this confusion on the actors and the crew. But like while they were filming, the maze that they were working in like literally changed, and people would get lost in it.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild? But all like, so the theory goes like this person who did this deep analysis with maps. Oh, one more. Sorry, I'm ADDing right now.
You're good.
But
then
the
I'm gonna
freezer.
say something after this. But go on.
The freezer, when they're doing the tour, and Dick is taking them into the freezer. It's on one side, like right next to his office, and then when they come out, it's on the opposite side of the hall. And there was an interview where someone talked about how, like, when they were filming that, someone pointed out to Stanley that it was inconsistent, and he was like, no, we're coming out from this door. So, like, he wanted... But the thing is, like, he kept all this... Like, he didn't tell people why he would do these things, or at least no one's come out in interviews and said, like, oh, he did this because of this. It's like he intentionally wanted to, like, keep people in the dark with his intention. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's super fascinating.
So I was going to say, and then you can finish your thought, because you said somebody had like a deep dive into it, is that the actual like practical reason for this is that, you know, a lot of the exterior and interior shots are actually different places, just so people, in case people didn't know that, like there is a hotel that where most of it was shot, and it's kind of known as like the Shining Hotel. It's real, but like there's other places where like certain parts of the hotel were different places. And so in real, no?
Practically, they built an entire set for this movie. And if they wanted it to be consistent, they could have made it consistent. They made it confusing.
So I thought there's like an actual hotel that they use, because it's like
they
famous.
based it. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me find the specific paragraph.
So
they based it on the Timberland Lodge, and the exterior footage is of the Timberland Lodge. That's like the real Timberland Lodge. But they built a set in England to mimic the exterior of the Timberland Lodge, and the inside was built to look like another hotel, which has a completely different look. And anyways, like it was an entire set that they built out, right?
Okay,
so they could have made it consistent. They could have made it where this door goes here, you know.
I was thinking of that. But my point was that even so, someone's job is to make sure that that's consistent. And so, with someone as detailed as Kubrick, this wouldn't be an accident. Like these details, these wouldn't have gone unnoticed. So tell me about this guy's theory, because this for some reason this is one of the most fascinating parts of the movie for me.
It's all about misdirection. Like when they arrive at this hotel, they are in a they're like descending deeper and deeper into a maze of insanity, of confusion. Like it's just I mean, it's hard to say like this means this, but it's about misdirection. It's about keeping the audience on edge, but also the characters in the film are also being misdirected. You know, like Danny drives past room 237 twice. You know what you see what I'm saying? There's a scene in the kitchen, where there's like this huge like workstation where you would like chop meat or something, and it's obviously there. And then later in the film, when Jack is like limping with an axe to go kill Dick, it's not there. He walks right through where the workstation would have been. And it's little things like that where if they built this set out for this film, which they did, these things wouldn't be inconsistent like this unless it was intentional, unless it was literally trying to like convey this sense of like misdirection and being lost within a maze. And think about when Wendy and Danny are in the maze, Jack is looking at like a little like model of the maze, and he's looking like you know, sky, like bird's eye view or whatever, and you can see them in the maze. But even then, the maze that you actually see them in is different. It's way more complex than the model that you see Jack looking at before. It's like the bird's eye view or the map that's outside the maze. There are certain points in the film where the entrance to the maze is facing away from the hotel, and then at the end, when like the chase happens, the entrance to the maze is facing the hotel when it's like snowing. You know, things like this that they built this set. It wouldn't be inconsistent if they used one set. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's to me, yes. I'm also like, this website's amazing, and so I'm like kind of scrolling through it as you're talking. Yeah, like it just. I remember this is weird. Just hang with me. I was 10 years ago. You know, because you came to visit me when I was in the hospital for like a week. All this stuff where like, I remember being taken to places and being like, this. The complexity of this makes me anxious. Like I get anxiety from how complicated this is. And you just like walk through you on their tour, you're like, this is impossible to follow. And it's impossible to follow because it literally is impossible. But to make it more and more complicated, and it's so brilliant because it's not like a plot point. You know what I mean? Where like Shelley opens the door and it's nowhere and she's like, what's going on? It's just like you're watching it and you're kind of subliminally like,
what's going on?
Where are they? Like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like the the whole maze scene, it's impossible to follow them, as I think it should be. You're watching and you're like, how does anybody know where they are? How does Danny know where he is? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I get that he and Shelley, he and Wendy went to the center, they found their way out, blah 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 blah. But like, he just makes it's like 100 right turns and 80 left turns, and it's like that can't be correct. Like there's no way. And I think it just makes you just super disoriented. I think it's brilliant. I think it's even just some of the shots. Like this movie just makes you don't know what to think. And I think that's perfectly on par, you know, like the shots of what is it like when they go out to the maze the first time and Jack's just like standing in the window, just like his mouth's like kind of open, just sort of
with the iconic Kubrick stare.
Yeah,
where,
like it's
he's
just like
face is tilted down and his eyes are looking out. That shows that someone's like becoming insane.
yeah, that's it. That's the look. But just like those things where it's like, I just think it's so good. Like I remember when he sees the twins that you wanted to talk about. We can talk about them now if you want. When we see the twins a few times, when he finally turns, which this is the reason everyone's afraid of hotel hallways. They're always so creepy because of this movie, at least in my opinion. But the two girls are at the end of the hallway, and they finally say they're come play with us, Danny. And I love how like, to me, this is what I think. This is the kind of horror that I like. He's just looking at him, and I guess he's having visions, like he's having The Shining or whatever. And we cut to them murdered, like the two girls. The room's just covered in blood, and they're like laying there dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that the music's just sort of building, and Danny's, like looking scared, freaking out. But whenever it cuts to the girls who like when they're dead, there's no like duh, none of that. It just shows you for a second. And you're like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like I just think that's so good. I think it's such. Some people might be like, what is going on? But to me, that's like, oh, that's, you know what I'm saying? It's just anxiety inducing.
Apparently, and again, I think this is the only Kubrick film I've seen, but apparently this is like one of his tools. It's called unannounced dream sequences, where it just fucking happens. It's just like, boom, dream sequence, boom. And it's, I don't know, it's really good. So I want to talk about the twins because, well, I want to talk about foreshadowing in general. Because there's a lot of foreshadowing in this film. But since we're talking about the twins, we can talk about the twins right now.
Sorry, I have my hand raised.
Yes, Hunter.
I have a comment about the twins that also relates to our previous comment about misdirection and being confused.
Okay, let's do that before we move on.
There's other things that are like close enough to make you think they're right, but just slightly off. And one of those is the story of Grady, right? Jack is told about the caretaker Grady and how he killed his two daughters who were different ages. And we see the twins, and they're twins.
Well, yeah, they were portrayed by twins.
They're twins, so that's wrong.
They could be. When we talk to Grady in the bathroom, does he say I have twin daughters, or does he say I have two beautiful daughters?
He says he has two, but his first name's wrong too.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that's good. I think it adds to like, wait a second. Like it adds
confusion.
to like, hold on, did I remember that wrong? Like anyway.
Well, and like on the misdirection and like the little things like that, I was texting you about how Jack had his wallet. So this all happened in like the same day where like he gets in a fight with Wendy he doesn't get in a fight, but he gets yelled at because little Danny's been choked and Wendy thinks that he did it. So then he goes to the bar and he's like, man, I need a drink. I would sell my soul for a drink right now. Then the ghosts show up, right? Which is like, I mean, that was a little like on the nose, but it was really good. Yeah. But his wallet's empty. Mm-hmm. He has no money. He goes back. Well, no, Wendy runs in with a bat and says, there's someone in here. He goes and makes out with the rotting woman. Yeah. Comes back, says, I didn't see anything. And then goes back to the bar. Like, this all happens in the same day, right? Like, he never, like, goes to his bedroom and says, let me pick up my money. Yeah. He just, like, goes back and then he's got money in his wallet. Yeah. So, again, like, just, like, inconsistencies that I don't think are a sign of, like, poor attention to detail. I think it's all going towards this misdirection and this like you know. Well,
and it's funny too because when he pulls out the money, they say your money's no good here. Like you don't need, So it's right. As if he hasn't. Like I just think I don't know. I think it's
because he's already sold his soul. He's already paid.
Well, like that scene. Sorry, we're gonna go back to the twins, but that scene when he goes back when it's like the whole ball is happening. It's crowded now.
Mm-hmm. And Delbert spills the
yep
whatever on his shirt.
one of the videos that I watched about like the music stuff, they apparently, I'm not sure how they have this information, but they had access to like, because he's like dancing along. He's like dancing to the music. It's different music. Like I guess maybe they talked to somebody, I don't know. But they know the song that was played on set that he danced to, and in post they picked a different song. And so I think it's interesting because it's like, it's off. Like you see it and it's just like, something's off. Something's off. But it's small stuff. It's so good.
But it's intentional. Also, on this note, and we can just keep going on this note, back and forth. And if we do that until we hit an hour mark, that'd be cool. But on this
we
note,
can go past an hour probably.
They would do like 50 takes.
Oh, dude, yes.
For a shot.
It's sometimes the staircase. There's the staircase scene. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the staircase scene. There was a scene where I think Dick was literally just saying like, "Hi, Danny," and Kubrick made him do it like 85 times, and the guy got really, really upset. And he was like, "What the hell do you want, Stanley? What do you want from me? Like, what do you want me to do?" But he did that, and sometimes it's so fascinating because the doctor that like assesses Danny at the beginning of the movie, apparently they did that take 65 times. The first take that they shot is the one that's in the film. But then there are other shots where like Jack has dialogue and he's talking to like the hotel manager or someone else, and they made him do it so many times. And one of the people who helped edit the film did an interview and said it's so crazy because there were much better takes, but Kubrick didn't want the best take. He wanted like the most eccentric take. Mm-hmm. And so he would intentionally make Jack Nicholson do the same thing like 65 times to annoy him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like when he like looked annoyed, that's the take that they would use.
Yeah, well there's stories of like that when Wendy has the bat and it's like she's like that because Shelley Duvall is literally exhausted.
Right.
I'm not condoning that. That's like, it's borderline abuse, if not actual abuse, because like.
And she's spoken out about that many times.
Yeah, she has said that it was a terrible experience, but it's like Wendy looks like she's got nothing left because Shelley Duvall
literally doesn't
had nothing left when she took that cut. But yeah, like it's just. That's what's so weird about this movie is that some of the stuff is like there's some lines like that Jack Nicholson says where it's just like, how'd you say that in a way that makes me afraid of you? You know what I'm saying? Like, or how'd you say that in a way that makes me know that you are angry or know, like, even when he's telling Danny, like, I love you, I would never hurt you, it's just like, I think you would. I think you would actually. I think you hate him or are evil. You know what I'm saying? But, I love the like little ways because it happens a few times. I'm not sure who. I know Danny asks him, or I know that when he asks him, where they're like, "Do you like it here?" And he's just like the way he's just like, "Oh, I love it." Like he says it in ways where it's just like, it's just eerie, Anyway, the twins.
Yeah,
the twins.
So let's talk about foreshadowing in general, because there's a lot of it in this film. Let's talk about the twins first. Even though we've jumped a bunch of other places, I want to talk about the twins. So when they get to the hotel, there's like 3 sets of women that like walk in unison to like take their luggage to their room, and 2 of them say goodbye to Mr. Ullman because the hotel is shutting down. Mm-hmm. And they say it like in unison. And so the theory is that these like pairs of women are like foreshadowing for the twins that we will see later on.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
It is interesting.
Sorry, now I'm like, what?
Where do you want to go?
Well, like I'm looking at this chapter list. I love this site that you sent.
By the way, this is a site called Collative Learning. Mm-hmm. COLLATIVE learning.com. This is a guy named Rob Ager, He's a film critic that does these really deep dives, and he's done a shit ton of films. And the text deep dives, like the one that we're, using to supplement right now, most of them are free. He does have videos. He has paid videos that he has on his website because they're like so in depth. But yeah, his shit, like, this is amazing reading through this.
Yeah, this is wild.
We can talk about mirrors and symmetry if you want to.
Yeah, that's crazy. One of my favorite scenes, which we can, and this can like kind of lead to it, because I'm on the crazy Jack chapter right now, but there's such subtle things. I love the scene where he's accused of beating Danny, right? And there's that look of great, like, where he's like looks like dumbfounded.
Yes.
And I think that's, I couldn't tell if that was genuine. Like, he's like, I didn't, or if it was like somehow sarcastic. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, it's played so well, and Jack is, I think, so Stephen King has kind of disavowed this version. He doesn't care for this version. He even made his own miniseries that apparently is bad. I don't know, and I haven't read The Shining, but apparently in the book, and this is all apparently the secondhand information. I haven't read it. Apparently in the book, Jack is much more sympathetic, and he's kind of a good father figure who has some struggles, and it's the hotel that like grips him and drives him insane. And I feel like in Kubrick's version, he's just already evil, and it's just amplified.
Well, I'm not sure if he's already evil or if he's just like deeply disturbed, and then when he gets to the hotel, it like takes over. But I do want to point out that there are a litany. Litany means like a bunch, right?
It does, yeah. Yes.
Cool,
Good word,
cool.
Good word, good choice.
There are a litany of differences between the book and this film, to the point where it's clear that, and Kubrick has talked about this in interviews, that the book is just like a shell in which Kubrick is telling his own story. Like, this is not supposed to be like some, faithful adaptation of the book, because it's incredibly different. Like you said, the hotel is like this entity in the book that like takes over. There's these fucking like hedge creatures, like animals, like, like animals carved into hedges that like come alive and attack Danny, and like all kinds of stuff happens in the book that does not happen in the film. The book doesn't have a river of blood coming out of an elevator.
Yeah.
Which, like,
mind you, I've heard that the book is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very different. But I love the scene where, so after he's accused, he goes to the bar. He's all pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's so subtle, but when you're watching it, I don't know, like I feel like you have to kind of see it, but I actually really saw it this time when he's walking down that hallway and he's having like his little mini tantrum. I love his
mini tantrum.
Every time he does that, throws his arms or like swipes at the air, is when he's passing a mirror.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Right. It's brilliant. It's like the thought of his own reflection just drives up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think those tiny little details are just like, so good. So good. And there's tons of mirrors. There's mirrors everywhere. And gosh, I think there's so many shots. I think it's of Jack where, like, I think it's when he wakes up in the morning, I think, where it's like we cut to him and you think it's just him, but then we pan out and it's like his reflection.
It's the room.
Such a cool shot. Such a cool shot.
But not just that. So that mirror in the bedroom and the angle that we're looking at it from, like basically where he's at in bed and like looking out, that mirror, there's a lot of like parallels between mirrors and doors. Like we see mirrors pointing at doors. We see, go to chapter 5.
I'm there.
So that mirror is precisely where Danny's door is. Like if you went through the wall, that's where Danny's door is. Like in their little suite, their little bedroom suite.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, just really interesting.
Yeah, like there's this one where like him and Wendy are framed and there's a mirror to the left and directly in that mirror is another door. Like
And sometimes that door is open and you're just looking down this long hallway through this mirror. When Wendy's like freaking out, running into the bathroom with Danny and trying to get him out the window, the bathroom like little mirror, those little mirror cabinets that open up.
Yeah.
You can put like toothpaste in there. Nothing else, just toothpaste.
Yeah. Yes.
It's facing.
It's framed on the door.
It's framed on the door. Yeah.
That's so interesting because go on.
You could say that this is all. Well, it could have its own like symbolism, but it really comes to a head when Red Rum, when Wendy like wakes up and murder is written on the door in the mirror, and it's the reflection of it that she's seeing, right? What were you going to say?
His voice is so creepy when he's Tony.
Yeah.
Red Rum.
But then also, like architecturally, like there are shots that look like mirrors of each other. So the hallway scene with the twins, and like it's so symmetrical. When Danny is in that hallway and he's playing with his little action figures, and the ball comes and it's looking down, and you see that room 237's open. That hallway is like super symmetrical. The elevator with the river of blood, even though the river of blood's coming out one side, it's super symmetrical,
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. What does it mean?
I just think, I don't know. It's like, it's just so, it's just, I think it's so masterfully done that it's just enough to like make you crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like in the sense of like, there was a quote that he gave in an interview where it was like, if you were, I'm not sure what the context was, but he was saying like if you were going to show like a man's descent into insanity, realistically, like that would take years. It takes forever. It's just it's really small things. But within a fantasy film, you can show it faster, and you can get a point across. But I think these tiny little things are so good because to me, that's like what it takes. It's a lot of tiny little things that start to happen.
Yeah.
That eventually like push him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
and it's like
it's wild, man.
Like when he gets into when he's just like, "Hey, how's it going?" and he's like, he like loses his mind. He's like, "'Cause you're distracting me, and you come in here," and it's just like,
we're gonna set a new rule when you hear me typing. Tap, 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 tap.
That's
or whether you don't hear me typing or whatever the fuck you hear. You know, it's
like. I don't know, but then I think it's fascinating because we're already past an hour. But like when he takes that drink and that's like his shift, and he starts to really like lean into like the hotel, and Grady kind of gives him the task of like correcting his family, But that scene, like he's in it for like 2 scenes, just scene for 1, I think, because he kind of comes back when he's in the freezer. But Grady's creepy as hell, like. It's such a great scene. But the scene, the confrontation with Wendy is, to me, like one of the best horror sequences ever, where he's like, let's talk, that whole sequence. And what does she say where he like mimics her? Well, I'm not sure what the line is. So it's not this, but she says something in the word where she's like, "I'm very confused," and he's like, "I'm very confused." Like he's just like, I don't even. It's so creepy and it's so cold. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, you have to feel for Wendy because she was like, "What's happened?" And there's just nothing. And what does he say? Where he's like, "I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in." Wendy,
darling,
light of my
life. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm just gonna bash them right the fuck in.
It makes me realize that when he played Joker, he just kind of played himself with a smile, or like you know what I'm saying. Like he has this sort of menace down.
Yeah. Although they did do that like 40 times or whatever, so maybe he was legitimately angry. I want to talk because the foreshadowing is just insane. It's just it's insane. I want to talk about this. I don't care that we're over an hour. I don't care. So when Danny's talking to Mr. Halloran, Dick, and they're sitting there, and I think Danny's eating ice cream. He's got like chocolate on his face, right? And he asks him if he's scared of this place. Mm-hmm. And up until that point, it's just like Dick's face. Sorry, Mr. Halloran's face, Danny's face, it's like it's just like shot of whoever's talking. But when he says, "Are you scared of this place?" it pans out to a wide shot, and you see the knives, like right above Danny's head, like the knives that Shelley or Wendy grabs later in the film.
Go on.
The tricycle wheels when the first time he's doing his lap. And you hear him going on carpet, and it gets like quiet, and then the floorboards, and it's like wow, and then carpet, and then floorboards, and the alternating of the sound, the music in the like final sequence where he's running out in the maze, if you line them up, they line up. It's crazy.
That's crazy. That's insane.
When Jack is throwing the tennis ball above the fireplace, if you line that up with when Jack is chopping down the door, it lines up. The thud of like the tennis ball matches up with like the axe hitting the door. Like it gets so crazy. When Wendy at the beginning of the film, or not like the beginning, but like it's like the first month, like the title card first, like 1 month has gone by or whatever, and she's bringing breakfast to Jack. She walks the same path that Mr. Halloran walks when he gets hit in the chest with the axe. Mm-hmm. The second she gets to the spot where he gets killed, it cuts to a new shot, and it's like kind of suspenseful music. So it's like when she gets to that point where he died, that's when that scene like ends. It's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I'm looking through all these things, and it's showing a bunch of different, like the smallest little things where am I at? Yeah, like there's the entrance to the gold room, and this is not foreshadowing. This is like just playing on that, where it's like all these little details. The entrance to the gold room, there's a sign that says the gold room is on the right side of the door, where you can look through and you can see all the pictures from like where we actually see Jack at the end, and you see that, and then when Dick is killed, the sign has switched sides for just some reason. It's also like a different room. It's just like the entrance, and then at the end of it, it switched back, and then there's one where like there's like a hallway that has elevators at the end, and then Wendy's like running through it, and there's like a glass case of stuff, and then at the end when she's running, she turns and she sees the guy with like the bloody head,
Right. Holding the wine glass or whatever.
And the elevators are gone, but the glass case is still there, but the pictures are gone on the walls. And it's just like, what is happening? It's just so good, man. It's just so
Meanwhile, and I don't know, this is just like icing on the cake, but like the chanting music, because it becomes clear that this hotel is like occupied by like spirits or whatever, and then you just hear this like chanting, like I don't even know what the fuck they're saying.
Which this one is on an Indian burial ground.
Yeah. This one is confirmed on an Indian burial ground. I don't know. It's just it's crazy. We could talk for hours. I would love to, but I do need to get to sleep at some point. And
no, I know.
There's only so much episode.
What do you think? What do you think the ending picture means? Is that just a way of saying like, because there's a like the scene with Grady where he's like, no, you've always been the caretaker here.
Mm-hmm. And then it's 1920. 27? I don't know what it is.
It's very much the Hotel California vibes where it's like, you've always been here.
Yeah. I don't know what it means. I think it's just supposed to be but I do know that there was apparently there was a scene that was cut from the film in which, like when Wendy is looking through his manuscript and it's just like all play or all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah.
There's a picture on his desk. And this is fascinating. There's a picture on his desk, and it's a party, and he's the centerpiece of the picture, and it's 1999, which would have been the future.
What?
Yeah, that's deleted. It's not in this. It's not in the film, obviously.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was looking at something. I didn't get a chance to read through it because I didn't want to miss what you were saying, but it seemed like there's little hints at like previous generations of Mr. Torrance, like sprinkled throughout. That's just crazy. I mean, I think that's, you can take it as literally as you want, but to me, it's that thing of like, oh, it's this. Maybe it's like this was always meant to happen. Like this is
well,
you're saying,
yeah,
like,
or maybe he literally sold his soul to the hotel, and then now that that's happened, he's like become part of it to the point where like, as far back as he can remember, because Delbert Grady or whatever his name was, at the beginning of the film, it wasn't that long ago that it was like 10 years ago or something, right?
Yeah.
That he killed but he said, I've always worked here,
Yeah.
And I think he's in the picture from like the early 1900s,
Yeah, probably.
And so and he says like, Jack says, no, you killed your wife and kids. I saw you on the TV. I know, and he's like, well, I don't have any recollection of that. So it's like, he also sold his soul to like whatever the hotel is. Right. And when he died, he became like an entity there, but he has no recollection other than like the little fucked up, I corrected my wife and kids stuff of the actual like gruesome murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like this version of them that's always done like a version of it.
Right.
Right. Kind of done that. That's fascinating. But that's the thing is that it's just strange enough to make. We can end it on this. This is actually a point in favor of this film. The fact that it's been 23 years and people still talk about this movie like this is like there's so much, and when you discover so much,
43 years, right?
43.
You said 23.
Yeah, whatever. The more you discover, the more that stuff is actually up for interpretation too. Where you're like, I don't know, man. Like, what does it mean? It means. To you, it means this. To me, it means that. And it's such a cool shot to end on because you just kind of go, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in a way that's like, it adds, not in like a what the hell, like this is ridiculous, but like in a way that's like, I am so unsettled,
Yeah.
There was a shot that I just saw like when Jack dies, when he freezes to death. And that really iconic, like his jaws poked out and his eyes are rolled up. There's a frame where he's talking to the bartender where he looks a lot like that. It just sort of sits there.
Mm-hmm.
This frustrated look. This is so good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's extremely good.
We have to wrap it up. So Zach, oh wait, you have to ask me, don't you?
So
I do
Hunter,
this every episode. Literally every episode.
Well, every other episode. Because you do it every
That's
episode, but you mess it up every other one. So, Hunter, I need to ask you, who has the best drip?
Wendy.
I think it's Wendy. Like, at one point, she's rocking this, like, yellow... She's got a scarf on with this yellow coat with, like a desert on the background, like a little fucking cactus and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like, every outfit she has is just, like, on point. Now, I know Danny's also rocking his little Apollo sweater, and, he's also got some drip. But I think Wendy takes the cake here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have one more thing I thought about.
Okay.
When Jack is talking to Lloyd, the bartender guy,
yep.
like, obviously he's having a conversation with himself because Lloyd is, like, non-existent and Jack is going crazy. They're both wearing, like, a burgundy jacket to, like, show that it's like a mirrored conversation. Like, he's just like talking to himself basically.
Well, also when you see like the setup shot for that, when he like puts his hands over his eyes and stuff, there's a shot where you kind of see the bar and it's a mirror.
Yeah.
So like
yes.
It shows you like point blank, like he's talking to a mirror.
Correct.
But I love how like subtly it shows you that. It doesn't show you where it's like, oh my God, look, he's talking in a mirror. It's just like it lets you see it. But anyway, don't you have one more question to ask me?
I have the more important question because you didn't answer the first one. I did, but this was the one that you're going to answer.
I said Wendy.
But did you or did you? Okay. But
I kind of like tentatively said Wendy.
Okay. But is The Shining good?
It is. I would say it's a horror masterpiece. It really is. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's one of the greats, one of the bests. I would say this is a golden oldie, for sure.
We're like
We're
3 weeks.
Yeah, we're on a good streak here.
Did Poltergeist get a golden oldie nom?
I don't think so. So Poltergeist,
Okay.
It broke that streak. So we're full of shit, basically, is what we're saying.
We've been eating and we haven't been pooping, and now we are full of shit.
All right, let's do Every Movie Sucks. We'll do like 1 or 2 each because we've got way over.
Jasmine Hearn says, an aggressive film. I felt powerless.
This says, half star by Rue. I tried to gaslight myself into liking this a few years ago and I failed. People calling this a masterpiece. Oh, we just said that. In praising this, I hope you know that you are more pretentious than I am. We got called out.
Sucks major ass and a total waste of Yasmin's time. I guess Yasmin is who did this review. This is time that she will never get back, and she is mad. I would rather... Are you reading this?
I found it.
I would rather suck a fart out of Satan's ass than watch this movie again. Well, there you have it.
Wait, this one says, hold on. This says half star. This says, I would rather have intercourse with a man than watch this fucking shit ass movie.
Okay. Well.
Oh, it's funny. Okay, there. Every movie sucks. That's The Shining.
Every movie sucks.
Every movie sucks. Every movie sucks. Cool. Let's do news. Zach, give me a theme song.
News.
What song is that again?
Isn't it, it's not the Full House song, is it? Everywhere you go. Is that Full House?
I don't know. Okay, news. Here we go. Movies are getting delayed, baby, because of the strike. Paramount has delayed a bunch of movies, including Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 2, a whole year to 2025. Are you listening to the song right now?
It's a Full House theme. All right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The MCU Spider-Man 4 is set to begin production in late 2024 with Tom Holland, Zendaya, and John Watts returning to direct. Olivia Colman and Dev Patel are set to star in a twisted romance movie called Wicker. Fantastic Beasts, the Harry Potter spinoff. The director says that it is currently parked by Warner Brothers, which means probably just shelved because they're doing the series now. Speaking of the strike, studios have threatened to halt negotiations until 2024 if the SAG deal is not reached this week. As of the week that this episode is released, apparently they're meeting again, and they said they don't make a deal this week. They're not even going to talk again until next year. We get our first trailer for Zelda Williams, the daughter of Robin Williams. She directed a film called Lisa Frankenstein. Marvel has confirmed that Scarlet Witch is dead. That was news for some reason. She died in Doctor Strange 2. We got our first look at Rachel Zelger's live-action Snow White. And I'm not sure if you saw this, but, dude, the dwarves look awful. It's
I've
weird.
not seen it.
Because there was this whole backlash because they were going to have 7 magical creatures that were going to be like a really diverse cast of people, women, different races and stuff. People got all mad because they're supposed to be dwarves. So Disney caved and actually made them look like dwarves, but they made them look like the realistic versions of the cartoon dwarves, and they look really weird. Are you pulling it up?
Yep.
Did you find it? They look super strange.
They do. It's like you can't have her look like a human,
Yeah.
and then them look like some sort of. I used to have these like I don't know who the fuck did them, but these like drawings in my room. It was just like four like paintings basically that my parents got when I was like really little, and it's like this style.
That's weird, man.
Yeah. It is
Anyway,
weird.
so
I
that's
agree.
happening. It also got delayed, along with other stuff from Disney. And then you told me to say that Friday night, Five Nights at Freddy's has had a higher opening day than Mario, which is interesting. And
Did
then
you
here's
look it
something-
up, or did you just say it because I told you to?
I didn't look it up
Well, it's true.
because I'm bad.
But
at my job.
Mario opened on a Wednesday, so take that into account.
Okay, gotcha. Here's one that I thought was funny. So the Hollywood Reporter is a pretty reputable industry site, right? The news has been so slow because of the strikes that they posted as news on social media about the Kim Kardashian's new bras that they're selling. So I want you to know that the Kardashians are now selling bras with built-in erect nipples. That's
Back up.
That's happening. That's a thing. It's a real thing.
So that it just looks like you're.
If you want to wear a shirt and you want to look like your nipples are protruding through, so you can see them, they are selling a bra that has that built in, and that was shared by a movie news outlet, The Hollywood Reporter, on social media. I want the strike to end so we can have better news. But I am going to end it on a very sad note, and that was yesterday, actually, I believe. We lost Matthew Perry. He passed away. I don't know a lot of details. I know that it was in his hot tub, which sucks because I love Matthew Perry. I think Chandler was my favorite person on Friends. A lot of my humor, I stole a lot of my jokes from and my mannerisms from Chandler. So that sucks. I know he had some struggles and some health scares, so that's a real bummer. He's gonna be very missed. That's the news, Zach. I'm not sure what your shindig is now because I guess the Hawk.
Let me check the Hawks score.
They haven't won yet. They're winless.
They won. They beat the Bucks.
Hey, they won. Yeah, good for them.
Ah.
Where
can they find us?
That was very. Wait, I'm doing whiskey shots. You're gonna pretend to do whiskey shots. This is whiskey.
No, I'm gonna do.
This is whiskey and calming beverage shots.
Calming beverage.
This is just. I'm gonna do a small one. This is just to whiskey because I miss her. I miss her all the time. To whiskey.
For my gut.
But still to whiskey.
Yeah. Where can they find us, Hunter Callahan?
They can find us, Zach Olson, on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at But Is It Good Podcast. You can find us on X at BIIG Podcast. You can find me everywhere at Hunter Callahan Music. You can find Zach on Instagram at Zach with an H, to the number, the THA, future.31. That is Zach to the future.31. You can email us at budisitgoodpodcast@gmail.com, BIIGpodcast@gmail.com, or budisitgood@gmail.com. And we haven't even talked about November yet, but we're going to be releasing that schedule this week. Got some movies coming out that look interesting, so yeah. That's all I've got.
All right. Well, in that case...
Hey, you didn't throw up. Good job.
Yeah. Well, so I can always tell if I'm going to throw up. I start to... This tastes weird, or this sounds weird, but I'll like taste metal in the back of my... the back of my throat, and that's when I know it's time to run to the bathroom. I start tasting like metallic.
It'd be funny if I just like cut the audio in the middle of this conversation.
What do you mean?
Like for the episode, if it was just like we're talking, and it goes beep, and then it's just over.
Yeah, well, maybe.
We should try that. I'll see. I might just do it and see if it's funny.
What if someone thinks that there's like a limit, and because like they're like, oh, they didn't pay for premium, so the episode got cut off early.
What if I leave just enough of this part of the conversation in so that they know, like,
it's clear that that's not the case?
Yeah. Maybe. Let's try it.
So we should just keep talking for a couple. But is it good podcast? Yeah.